Let's get it Star Wars. Let's get it Star Wars in here. Let's get it Star Wars. Let's get it Star Wars in here.
A small rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio,
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Hey, look at us. We're back. Feels like it's been a long, long time since we've done just a regular old run-of-the-mill, normal Rebel Force Radio. I know, it's never normal. We're never normal. But you know what I'm saying. We had the Tales of the Empire after show, and then before that was the live show from Bristol, and then we had the end of the Bad Batch. Just seems like it's been a while since we could just kind of chill out, peruse the headlines, see what's breaking as we gear up for the Acolyte coming up in next month. Geez, just a couple of weeks. It's not that long. And we've got news on that, by the way. So we've got another trailer that dropped. We also have another video promo. And we'll take a look at that, doing our patented Rebel Force Radio scene-by-scene breakdown. That's coming up. Plus some news about Skeleton Crew, another Disney Plus show that is in the wings, waiting in the wings for its big release. Don't forget about Star Wars heading back to the big screen, Mandalorian and Grogu, things starting to heat up a little bit there. And we've got some early casting rumors. If you're new to the program, welcome. Hope you found us through YouTube maybe, or maybe you're just... after seeing the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary release, you go, are there any good Star Wars podcasts out there? You grab your phone or your tablet and you start searching, and of course you're going to find us because we're number one. So introductions in order. If you are new to the show, my name is Jason, and with me as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Yes, we're back. No round of applause for my introduction. I got spoiled by that in Bristol. No live stream, no live chat happening right now. But hey, that's okay. I'm happy to be back with the weekly RFR. You're right, Jason. It's been a little while. I don't think we have done a weekly RFR at all for the month of May. This is the first one. And, we've had our plate's been filled, with all kind of good things. We had the Bad Batch after shows. We had the Tales of the Empire after shows, and we had RFR Live in Bristol, which was just such a great time, such an amazing time.
Oh, so much fun.
We do have some a programming note to lay on you guys. There's going to be no weekly RFR next week. We'll be back on May 30th. I know.
It
seems like
we just got back.
It seems like it. It seems like
my fault. But it's my fault. I'm out of town. So
Jason has to go to New York City.
New York City. Yes.
Yep. So in the meantime, I'll be holding down the. What's that?
I said I hope I make it out alive.
No, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will, young man. You can handle yourself in any sort of West Side Story situation that might emerge in front of you on the streets of New York.
If anyone starts anything with me, I just start doing a little dance. And you know what? 99 times out of 100, they run away. So,
yeah.
I mean, it must be pretty scary.
It's another one of those West Side Story freaks dancing in the streets. That's what Jason does when he goes to New York. But while he's out there, I'm going to be holding down the fort at RFR on Patreon, and we'll be providing some content for you next week, like RFR Q&A. The Babu Freaks are set to return. A new episode of RFR RPG dropped this week, and it features a whole new RPG adventure for podcasters and Grando the Grand, with Game Master Matt leading the way. And we met Matt's mom out in Bristol, and she was wearing a Chut Chut shirt.
Okay. That was Matt's mom. All right.
That happened the morning we were leaving. We were congregating in the lobby after you guys closed down the porch at some ungodly hour. I got a lot of reports about that mayhem going on as the RFR Live in Bristol after party was moving balls out there from the hotel bar to the front of the hotel to the porch or the patio area at the hotel, then into the lobby at the hotel, I think at around 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah. I tapped out after the porch got shut down at 2. That was it. But I know that it continued after that. But that was too much for me.
That was a great time.
I think some of them just stayed up. Like some just stayed up and then left and got their flights.
All night. Pulled an all-nighter. Well, there was a great crew of RFR listeners out there. I want to thank everyone for a great May the 4th in Bristol, Connecticut. We had an amazing time. What was really very interesting was after we did the live show, they said to us, hey, will you go down to the gallery and do a meet and greet? And the way the gallery was set up, we were at the end of this corridor, sort of in the corner, around the corner. And people were forced to line up along the wall and wait for their meeting with us. It was like being brought in to see the Pope or something. I mean, it was insane, but that's just how the layout of it demanded everyone to be in a line, as opposed to just like usually when we do these meet and greets, people surround us and we have a lot of laughs with everyone. But this was a different situation. It was like were lying. I mean, it was like they were lining up to, I don't know, pay their respects or something. But we were there, and each and every person who lined up,
This is my favorite picture from the event because somewhere along the line, someone thought, you know what, we can't just have these guys stand here. Even though the line, as Mac was saying, was all queued up. Everybody that was there queued up. They knew who we were and why we were there, but someone still thought, you know what, they need a sign because what if someone's just passing by and they go, oh wow, Jason and Jimmy, Rebel Force. Nobody told me they were going to be here. So there you go. We got that sign.
Yeah, it written in chicken scratch with a Sharpie on this sign. That says
Paul
meet
from
Jason
Alulu
and
that
Jimmy.
did that.
What's that?
I'd seen that was Paul from Alulu that did that.
Oh, that was Paul.
Yeah.
And he was a great help the whole way through. Paul from Alulu. Tyler was there taking photos of everyone who came up to meet us with their phones. And I've seen a lot of those pictures, and they look great. And it was just great meeting everyone. It was so cool. It was such a cool situation. And it was really nice to just work that line and spend time with everyone and just really hear some Star Wars stories from them and stories about their fandom and their connection to the series and Rebel Force radio memories and all kind of great stuff. So
whenever we do those things, I always wish that we could get copies of the photos too, because a lot of times they'll walk away and later I'll be thinking about somebody and I can picture them in my head. And if I had the photo, it would be really helpful. So if you got selfies with us, send them to us, show at rebelforceradio.com, because some of those I would like to have. Really, I just want to see how I looked in them.
Another comment people were giving me about the weekend really came more from the people who listened to it via podcast. And they said, a lot of times when you guys do shows, it sort of devolves into this kind of crazy frat party sort of thing where it's mayhem. But this show, you guys kept it really tight, kept it moving, and provided a more solid podcast listening experience.
Really?
And that has everything to do with the Rockwell Theater out in Bristol, which was great, a great place to do a show. We were working with
people
professional sound guys.
People are sending us notes saying they really liked the rundown of the show. Like they're getting so technical. Really like the structure of the show here, guys. Wow.
Well, it's not so much the structure, just the fact that we didn't, like I say, let it devolve into a crazy frat party sort of scene. And that's always a lot of fun when that happens. But let's face it, we do these things at bars or on hotel rooftops and stuff. It's just bound to devolve, quote, into some sort of crazy situation. But this was a great environment to be in a theater to do RFR Live.
Well, we got to show respect for the theater. We had an EGOT-winning composer. Robert Lopez was there, but it balanced out. We also had Baby Belushi.
Yeah, right. Both ends of the spectrum represented. One guy who looks great in a tux, another guy who looks great in Hawaiian shirts. So, and also looks great in a suit and tie. Baby Belushi does, especially when he's wearing the shades and the hat, pulling off the full Joliet Jake as only he can. It's all on the video. It's out there. Jason, you did a great job with your editing of the video and the way it's all put together. I was watching it with Michael Mack last weekend, and it was we had to force ourselves to stop watching at a certain point. I didn't want to sit there and watch the whole thing, but we did see all the good stuff in there, and it's a lot of good stuff. There's Glenn Nelson, his band High Adventure was there. Glenn was our Paul Schaefer, while High Adventure was the world's most dangerous band. And it was a really slick and smooth experience. So once again, thanks everyone who made it out there. Thank you to the city of Bristol, Connecticut, and everyone at the Rockwell Theater who made for an awesome, awesome event. And also having all those butts in the seats in the theater, too, didn't hurt.
That was nice.
So it was really nice.
Very nice.
What a great turnout. There we are on stage with Robert Lopez. So a really wonderful weekend. Thanks again for everyone who made it out there. We followed that show up with the Tales of the Empire after show, which was a very thorough breakdown of those 6 parts. And again, a lot of people reaching out saying, Jimmy Mack, you were right. Morgan does say she wants revenge. That's her prime motivating factor for joining the Empire. And I brought that up on the show, and you told me no. And I thought,
I was staring at
I have
the
it in my
transcript.
notes.
I was staring at the transcript, and it must have been in another scene because I was looking at every line of dialogue, literally looking at it. So what scene is it? Is it this scene?
It's when Thrawn and Morgan, the only scene featuring Thrawn and Morgan in Tales of the Empire is the scene on Corvus when they're standing on that.
I think it's the Mandela effect. I think somehow I slipped into another dimension where it's like Berenstain Bears, where this is all of a sudden now a part of the dialogue of this episode.
Well, we have the tape. So I want to just play the tape, the recording of that moment in Tales of the Empire where Morgan Elsbeth reveals her motivation for wanting to become affiliated with the Galactic Empire. And I want to dedicate this to everyone who said, Jimmy Mack, you should have stood your ground. Because people are disappointed with me that I made the comment.
They're more mad at you than me. I was the one that was
That's
wrong.
true. That's true. That's why I'm doing this right now. So let's just hear what Morgan Elsbeth actually said.
Why do you seek imperial favor?
Revenge.
Whoop, there it is.
Years ago, my people were all but destroyed. Our culture, our beliefs are fading into memory. Yes, I seek power to ensure my future, to destroy my enemies. My anger gives me strength, and it is that strength that I offer the Empire.
Well, see, all right. But again, within the discourse of that moment during the Tales of the Empire after show, we did discuss if revenge truly is her motivation, who does she think she's going to take revenge on? Because it was the Separatists who attacked Dathomir and wiped out the Night Sisters, led by General Grievous. There are no more battle droids. There are no more Nemoidians around. They were all wiped out, massacred by Anakin Skywalker on Mustafar. everyone you seek revenge upon is gone. General Grievous, of course, killed by Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Utapau. Oh, I love any time I could make reference to the planet Utapau. I love it. Utapau was in George Lucas's I think the rough draft for Star Wars. One of his early drafts had the planet Utapau. It may have been Alderaan in an early draft. It may have been Tatooine. I can't remember. But one of those planets was originally called Utapau, and George liked that so much because he liked saying it all the time. Utapau. He's like, oh, I got to put that in a Star Wars film. I think during the entire time between 1983 and Return of the Jedi, all the way up to 1999 in The Phantom Menace, George was just walking around the house saying Utapau to himself, going, I can't wait to put this in a movie. I think that's what primarily motivated him to make the prequels in the first place.
Just to get that in there. It's up there,
just Utapau.
Up there with McClunky. I'd put it up there with McClunky for sure. Like George just had to find a way to get that in there.
Oh, yeah. It is definitely of the McClunky caliber, something.
I would say.
So ever since George has sold Star Wars to Disney, has he just been walking around the house saying McClunky to himself over and over again until it's just like it was like the itch he had to scratch, and he demanded
it really is the most baffling, I think, of all of the edits to the original trilogy. In my opinion.
It is, yes. And it happened after George sold the company. But the reason it happened is because it was the most up-to-date edit of the original film that existed, and George played a hand in that edit before he sold the company to Disney. So that's what they had. That was the most up-to-date.
Well, they were prepping all the films for 3D. That's what they were working on. Yeah,
you're right. And there is a completed episode 2 that never got released theatrically, but got screened on rare occasions at events. I think maybe even at one of the Star Wars Celebration conventions.
Yeah, episode 2 in 3D.
But I've never seen it. And 3D. No. Like it's a fad that comes and goes. And that's happened a couple times in cinema history. In the 50s, 3D with the blue and red lenses. And then with Avatar in the late 90s, it was late 90s. No, it wasn't. It was after that. It was
in the 2000s.
It was mid-2000s. 2008? Is that when the first Avatar came out?
I thought it was almost 20 years between the two films. It was a long time.
It was a long time.
Yeah, but I don't know. Again, Avatar, I've never seen either of the Avatar films. That name has no meaning for me. Avatar. Just not at all. It's not like I've avoided it. It's just I've just never had the pull. Now, with the 3D thing, shopping for a television 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was all about 3D.
I remember.
And
I have the glasses.
I don't see. I think they're still making TVs displays with 3D capability, but it's certainly nothing that it doesn't make it on the in the commercials or in the ads. It's not something that they're promoting. It's pretty rare to even see a home video release of a film now that's in 3D. Avatar, the second Avatar, did have one. But that's the last one I can remember. Occasionally some of the animated, like you might get a Pixar or something like that has a 3D release. But I have the Force Awakens 3D. I have that disc. Never been able to watch it in 3D.
That was the last movie I recall buying a ticket for to see in 3D was The Force Awakens. And I sat through it all the way up until Daisy Ridley meets up with BB-8. They're out on the sandy dunes and stuff. And I walked out of there and I said, can I go into another screening of this that isn't 3D? Because it looked real muddy and just it dim.
Really?
It looked so dim. And I was in a good theater too. And I said, never again for 3D. It looked terrible. It was a terrible transfer. Just terrible. Now, 3D, good 3D does still exist. I went to Disney couple of weeks ago, and I was able to catch the new additions to Star Tours featuring the Purgles from Ahsoka.
Oh,
holy
cool.
smokes. Flying among the whales, the space whales, was amazing. Plus
now, that's
cameos
new
from
stuff. Do you think that's new stuff, or is that?
Oh yeah, I think it just
material
debuted
from the episode. It was all done for Star Tours.
Yeah, I think it debuted at the beginning of April. So the timing of my trip there was just right. And I was able to catch the Purgle situation. I think there's
How many times did you have to ride it before you got to see the new stuff?
It was a train wreck, Swank. It was the first ride we went on at Disney Hollywood Studios that morning. And Michael Mack didn't make it. It scrambled his eggs so much, he was totally affected for the rest of the day. He had the motion sickness. Yeah. And I think it messed with even Dylan as well.
I relate to that. I feel very akin to him now, hearing that.
I got messed up a couple times on Star Tours. However, it's the oddest thing I noticed that the older I get, the less I get that motion sickness. And it's supposed to be the other way around. There's like some fluid in your ear that's supposed to thicken as you get older, and that throws off your sense of balance a little bit when you're in those situations.
Is that what's on the Q-tip when you pull it out? It's that fluid?
Oh, you're supposed to pull the Q-tip out?
Out. You don't leave it in.
Oh, God. Well, maybe that explains it. But I really did enjoy flying with the Purgles, and I would have done it a few more times if my crew was up for it, but they were gassed after that one.
So you got just one ride on Star Tours. Is that what you're saying?
Just the one, just the one. We went and drank away our sorrows at Galaxy's Edge with the spiked blue milk they sell. Just outside, you don't even have to go in the cantina to get it. And we downed a bunch of those. Then we went into the cantina itself. And upon emerging from the cantina, we took a bunch of funny pictures outside the Millennium Falcon, which I showed off on our Bristol show. And then we rode Rise of the Resistance. And I think that's when the entire week, the whole vacation, came to its absolute peak. I felt like everyone was just in the right, everyone was in the right mood, the right vibe, the right energy. We were just so primed for that rise of the resistance upon emerging from the cantina.
I struggle telling people adequately how incredible that ride is, that experience. It's not a ride, it's an experience. And I know that sounds cliche, but it really is. It's incredible. It's the closest that you'll ever get to feeling like you're in a Star Wars film, or not just in a film, in that universe. It's astonishing.
So many different environments, and there's great videos on YouTube. Maybe point people in that direction.
Yeah,
but I think you put it best. It's like being in Star Wars when you're rolling underneath those AT-ATs and looking up at them, and they're full sized, and there they are right in front of you. Yeah. Oh yeah, and even in front of the little cart that's pulling you around the attraction, there's a droid there, a droid head. I lose my mind every time I go on that thing. So highly recommended, Rise of the Resistance, and also check out the new Ahsoka edition to Star Tours. It was a great time. Like I said, I think there's an Andor edition as well, and maybe even something from Mandalorian. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that the Ahsoka stuff is brand spanking new footage from Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. Just incredible, flying around with the Purgles. It's like a lot of people, they pay top dollar to go to resorts in Hawaii and places like that so they can swim with the dolphins or something,
Oh, yeah.
Forget that. Fly
Dolphin
with the
watches.
Purgles. Save your money and fly. You know what? Going to Disney might be just as expensive as going to one of those posh Hawaiian resorts. The way that they've spiked prices.
I feel like maybe more.
But we're the chumps. The park is always filled and everyone is spending. So until we as a society say enough is enough, they're going to keep raising the prices.
No, we got to, and the amazing thing about it all is that the technology that you see when you go to something, whenever you see technology that is just on the absolute forefront when it's at it's at the edge, it's at the bleeding edge of what's capable. You go there and you go, this is the worst it's ever going to look. Like it's only always going to improve. And whenever there's another iteration of Star Tours, it's going to look better than the last one. The next time they create a new ride, it's going to be even better than Rise of the Resistance. So it's incredible what they do.
Yeah, it's Star Tours is so important in Star Wars history too, because what they do with switching out the different experiences and stuff on the fly is something that George Lucas and ILM always wanted to do from day one, but the technology wasn't there, so the ride remained stagnant. There was no changes to it for years, decades, until George, the technology caught up with it. They did a full revamp, and they made it what it is today with the 3D glasses. And the day it opened is the day George Lucas went out to breakfast with Bob Iger, and Iger pitched him on the idea of selling Star Wars and Lucasfilm to Disney.
Maybe that's why George agreed. Maybe his eggs were scrambled too. He just got off
his eggs. Well, the only eggs that were scrambled were in his 5-egg omelets with cheese and sausage that was sitting on his plate, while Iger was sitting there nibbling on fresh fruit, maybe a cracker.
Yeah, just trying to get. Yeah, his next bite was in Star Wars. Bite its head off. All right, let's check in with what you, the listeners, are talking about with a little listener mail.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message, Doctor, the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
Shut, boyos. It's Antonio from New Jersey. I just wanted to say that I was able to, and fortunately enough, be able to get to meet you guys up in Bristol, Connecticut just now. I did want to just give a few thoughts. Jimmy Mack is much taller than I realized. Jason is much more muscular than I thought, and Tyler's beard is much more beardy-ish than I realized as well. So I just want to say you guys might live up into our minds, be larger than my images, but they're actually bigger than what you realize. So it's a good time. I would also say that I had just such a fun time being able to get to hang out with a bunch of my friends and new friends in line, hanging out and talking to everybody. And it's one of those things where, like, great, listen to a podcast, but getting to be in line and talk to fellow fans is a so special thing, isn't it? So I hope you guys come back to the East Coast, whether that's Philly, D.C., Tech, Florida, wherever you want to be. We'll be there for you. The East Coast is strong on you. So, gentlemen, and everybody else, ladies and gentlemen of the fans as well, it was so awesome to meet everybody. You guys were great. This podcast was fun, and I just can't wait to have the next RFR moment in life, because the podcast only does half the justice. Being even a Patreon doesn't really capture it all. So, good job. Congrats on another successful weekend, and thank you.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you for doing your jobs, as always.
Thank
you. You
you.
guys are the best. Talk soon.
Thank you. Get out of here. Thank you. No. Well, that was
Go
very
back
nice.
to Jersey, kid.
Another satisfied customer here at Rebel Force Radio. Oh, that was great. That was great. And as far as getting back to the East, I had this great ride with our buddy Joel Kramer from Bristol to Albany, and we went through a little bit of Massachusetts, and it was great. We smoked our pipes. Not those kind of pipes, like actual pipes, like old men. And stopped for margaritas since it was Cinco de Mayo. But man, oh man, the topography, the terrain of the East Coast was, or of the East, Northeast was just gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful. I'm Midwest guy, Ohio guy, so it's just green hills, flat, green hills. But seeing all the forestation and the creeks and beaver dams everywhere, it was unbelievable. It was beautiful.
Oh, I love that stuff. I get none of that in Illinois, man. Nothing. It's flat as a pancake in this state. Paul from Alulu, he went out there and he made a whole week of it. He was hiking all over the place and
really
just
how do you have time
soaking
to do
it all in.
He was out. Oh, you said he went out for a whole week. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Good for him.
Extended trip for Paul,
Nice.
and he drove. He made a road trip out of it. Me and Tyler, we dragged our sorry butts to the airport in Hartford very early on Sunday morning, and we sat there and ate these terrible breakfast sandwiches, breakfast wraps, or whatever the hell they were. And just happy to have any kind of food.
I got to tell you, my flight. I missed my connection. Coming from Akron, Canton into Charlotte. I was supposed to go to Charlotte, then on to Albany and meet up with Kramer, and then we were going to do that drive that we eventually did on the way back. But so it was a mess. There was a problem on the flight. Woman got sick. She was throwing up in the back of the plane. Terrible. So it was just a lot. Then we lost a bag. I lost a bag, and eventually got it. But it had our gear, some of our gear in it, our trusty RFR gear that we needed to record an incredible podcast. Luckily, we were in that beautiful theater, and they had everything that we needed. And then there were a couple of RFR listeners that helped out with stuff. Kramer went out and got a plug that I needed, a cord, and all this. But so on the way back, I got this pop-up message that said, for $40, you can upgrade your flight to first class. And I said, abso-freaking-lutely. Best $40 I spent. I tell you what, I had a drink in my hand before the rest of those yahoos got on the plane. It was incredible.
Nice. Good for you.
I felt like Jed Clampett. It was like,
Good for you.
Look at here.
Well, you certainly earned that after someone got sick on your flight. You're so lucky it didn't have that chain reaction effect where everyone then got sick.
Oh, I was worried about that because, the smell and the sounds and everything.
Oh,
some people just lose it. They just lose it. And then I thought, domino effect, we're all going down. But luckily it didn't happen.
Jeez. Well, you survived, and you came back first class. I had no problems flying out there, going there and coming back. It was pretty simple. And thanks, Glenn Nelson, for picking me up at the airport, and thank you, Baby Belushi, for dropping me off. So,
wow.
It's a community. We all take care of each other, right? So that's a good
Boy,
thing.
I felt that more on this trip, I think, than I've ever felt it. I posted, I said, I've never felt more connected to a live audience than I did there. It was just like, if there's something different, obviously when we're at a Star Wars convention, Star Wars celebration or something like that, you get people that are there for a lot of different reasons, but mainly because they love Star Wars. But to have people there that, for the most part, made those plans and traveled that distance to see us, completely different energy, and really just humbling in a lot of ways, too. Really humbling.
Yeah.
But awesome.
Yeah, and all the people from the Patreon community.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tight-knit group right there, and it just keeps growing. We want everyone who listens to this podcast to be part of that community. Go to patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio and hook up with any tier. You can even join for free and just maybe get a little taste of what's going on there. Costs $1, and the next thing you know, you're getting exclusive podcasts like RFR Q&A. And the higher the tiers go, the more content you receive, and content, perks, everything you need as far as RFR goes can be found at RFR on Patreon. So it's a great group over there, great people. We have Turtle Wars checking in this week with RFR Q&A 203, Tats and Turtles, and
Yeah, meeting Turtle Wars was really awesome. I mean, meeting everybody was awesome, but I hadn't met Turtle Wars before, and what a great dude. And one of the foremost experts in reptiles. It's incredible.
Yeah, in the world,
Right,
I mean,
in the world. And he's an RFR listener. Well, we got EGOT. We've got EGOT winners. We've got world-renowned turtle specialists. Crazy.
Top-tier jazz musicians from the Florida Keys and Joe Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Actors who have appeared in network television like Matt Rashid. I mean, it's just a plethora of incredible and talented Star Wars fans hanging out and just having a good time with Star Wars, you know? And they're just like you. So hook up with RFR on Patreon now. Did I say the website? Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Yeah, it's really fun. I'm really proud of what's going on over there. And that's where you get the full Rebel Force Radio experience, my friend.
That's right.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news.
Come closer, I have good news.
All right. Time for the news. Get caught up here. You know, it's like we have this period where we analyze, you know, there's new product, there's new Star Wars storytelling going on, and we analyze it. We do the after shows, and there's a little bit of break, and we can catch up on the news and find out what's coming around the corner. What's next for us? What's the next thing we're going to be talking about? Well, it might be still a little ways off, but one of the things we're going to be talking about is the new movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah, that's still the title. It's still the title. I still feel like that's got to be a working title, but I don't know. It seems like that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I think they're committed to that one. Yeah,
but get this. The Hollywood Reporter claims that they have confirmed that Signorey Weaver is in talks for a role in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Signorey Weaver, obviously of Alien franchise fame, as well as the Ghostbusters and a lot of other things. She's also a 3-time Academy Award nominee. You know, iconic Signorey Weaver. So she's in talks. Now, they've confirmed this. There's been nothing from Lucasfilm. So who'd they confirm this? They didn't confirm that she was cast. They've confirmed that she's in talks. This is something you see a lot in Hollywood, where the agency that represents these actors, they put the information out, because even if she doesn't get in the film, which I'm thinking since they're going as far as to putting this information out, she's probably going to be in the movie. But even if she doesn't, it still says, wow, these big franchises are looking at our actress that's on our roster, Signorey Weaver. So her stock price goes up a bit. Not that she needs it. She's a legend. She's an absolute legend.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Jim, when I saw this, I immediately thought of how I felt when I heard that Woody Harrelson was going to be in a Star Wars movie. Ended up being in Solo. I just, I don't want these super familiar faces, particularly those that are coming in from other franchises, in a Star Wars film. It's one of my least favorite things in The Mandalorian is all these cameos, you know, the Jack Blacks, the Lizzos. Bill Burr was not so established to me as like a Jack Black. Jack Black is just, you know, again, he's been in so many movies. He's been so many goofy characters. It's hard to see him as anything else. Not saying that that's the case for Signorey Weaver, but I just look at her and I go, that's Signorey Weaver. She's from Alien. She's from Ghostbusters. So I'm a little conflicted about this one.
Yeah, but I like her pedigree, and I like her ability to get lost in the role. And I also like the fact that she does have a background with franchise entertainment, Ghostbusters, Avatar, and Alien. I don't mind that, because I think Sigourney's a good enough actress who gets lost in the role. And she doesn't really do things to me that make her stick out like a sore thumb, like Jack Black did. She's also an accomplished actress, unlike Lizzo. I mean, the inclusion of Jack Black and Lizzo in Star Wars is so sketchy and just reeks of Hollywood cronyism, or, you know, it's sort of like I don't know. But Favreau really, really disappointed me with that move.
Yeah,
And
who's
a
next?
lot of
Taylor
fandom
Swift.
feels that
Is she
way.
going to show up in a Star Wars?
I would love it if Taylor showed up in
Oh,
Star Wars.
God.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, jeez.
Give me Taylor in Star Wars. I so want it. Because she's a real life Jedi, my friend. But I think Sigourney has the flexibility and She's able to bring a different edge to a lot of characters she plays. I think whatever they cast her in Star Wars is a good thing. Here's an example of good casting. Jennifer Beals in The Mandalorian. She was great in that. Or Jennifer's Jessica Biel. Wait, what's her name? Hold on, I got the name wrong.
From Flashdance.
It's the girl from Flashdance. What's her name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer what?
Beals, isn't it?
Jennifer Beals. Did I say that?
You did say that. You were right the first time.
See, it's all because of that Morgan Elsbeth revenge thing. Now I'm second guessing everything. Swank, look what you do to me.
Jennifer Beals. Yes. Confirmed. Yeah.
She was great in The Mandalorian. And I didn't see the Flashdance girl in there at all. I thought she was outstanding.
Okay. Here, you know what? You're giving me pause here, because when I think about Sigourney in Star Wars, I just think about like the photo that we're looking at here. Sigourney Weaver. Star Wars does have the ability to hide the actor, with makeup and, so Jennifer Beals was playing a Twi'lek. So she was hard to, I didn't look at her and go, oh, that's the woman from Flashdance.
Right. Put the head tails on Sigourney and let's go.
All right. Now we're talking. Okay. I might come around to this. But Woody,
of
I
course.
still struggle watching Woody.
I do too.
I like the character, but
I've always seen Woody Harrelson as Woody from Cheers. I've never been able to really digest him outside that role. And there's really nothing he's done in his career that makes me think otherwise. So when he got hooked up with Natural Born Killers was insane. Natural Born Killers was insane. And to me, the shock of the Rodney Dangerfield character in that movie erased any sort of evaluation I could do of Woody Harrelson in that.
Yeah.
Although Woody was quite good in that. I will give you that. I will give you that. But that was an insane experience for all of the actors.
That was a very transformational role. It was a transformational role. I think what stuck me with Woody was he played I think he played kind of a similar anti-hero, reluctant mentor in the what was the movies, the Mockingjay,
I didn't watch any of that stuff.
You know what I'm talking about.
So I don't know. Like I said,
he played a very similar role in those, and so that when he was cast, I kind of had my mind made up of who the character was. I knew he was going to be a prototype to Han Solo, and that he was going to sort of be the guy that he sort of fashions himself after to some degree, and that's the role that he ended up playing.
You were thinking of Hunger Games, right?
Hunger Games saga.
Is that what?
That's
exactly. I never saw any of that stuff. I always think of Woody as the guy from Cheers. I can't separate that. That's my problem. The guy is obviously a very talented actor, but I didn't think he was the right fit for Star Wars.
Sigourney and go, Ripley.
No. Because, no. I felt like she got lost in her character in Avatar. I thought, I was not thinking Ripley while I was watching it. So I think I can accept her. What happens if she meets
Peli Motto? A lot of people thought that Peli Motto had sort of that Ripley look to her. Maybe, worlds are colliding here. Can you imagine? Maybe she's going to be Peli Motto's mom or sister or something. She's the other Moto.
I think they're about the same age, so I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. So it's sister.
Yeah, she's like a sister. Maybe she's a Moto sister
or a cousin that comes over a lot. I don't know, but I think that she could be a Moto.
Yeah. Or she married Pelly's brother and became Mrs. Moto.
Okay.
That could have been what happened. So.
But there were a lot of comparisons when we first met Peli Motto. Oh, she looks like Ripley from Alien.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see if this actually pans out for it to be hitting the trades the way it did. I think the likelihood of it is pretty good. I think Lucasfilm is down with it. I think Sigourney is down with it. And some I's need to be dotted, some T's need to be crossed, and let's get her in front of the cameras this summer. I think we'll be starting to hear, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to start to hear more casting information about the Mandalorian film, along with the obvious. There's going to be some characters jumping from the TV series onto the silver screen with the franchise, with the exception of Cara Dune, of course, but we will see.
We might see Bill Burr back.
Bill Burr, that's one I was thinking.
A bit of a greatest hits. Go back and maybe even a Queel flashback. Wouldn't that be nice?
Like an origin story for Queel.
Queel, a Star Wars story.
How he became an Ugnaught.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think he became an Ugnaught just by being born, but
I guess so, yeah.
His journey to an Ugnaught.
So that's what's next in the theaters for Star Wars, as far as we know. It seems like this one has the right momentum behind it. It has the right people working on it. It's got the right amount of foundation to actually become a feature film with the Star Wars franchise. The other ones, I don't know. Stephen Knight recently, somebody asked him about Star Wars, and he said, oh, yeah, it's cooking now, So he feels like he has a lot of faith in the script that he turned in. And I believe Daisy, by this point, must have looked at it at least, along with all the executives at Lucasfilm, like Dave Filoni, etc. So it appears that one is moving forward. Also, there's the James Mangold, Birth of the Jedi situation. Mangold is deep in that Bob Dylan film right now. I've seen a lot of footage of Timothy Chalamet on the streets of New York City as fans are capturing moments where they're shooting scenes for that film. And Chalamet looks pretty good as Bob Dylan. And then the other film you have is, the Dave Filoni film, but that's not going to come for several years. So, I think things are moving forward with films. And we know The Acolyte is coming to Disney Plus next month. So,
yes, it be.
There's a lot to look forward to right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in fact, we got teased yet again with another trailer, and then there's the promos are starting to hit. You know how this goes. As we're ramping up, you'll start to see things showing up on Twitter, and they'll seed things out to various outlets and that sort of thing. But we've got a second full-length trailer that we haven't looked at here on RFR, so why don't we do that right now and do a little scene-by-scene breakdown of this, see what we can glean. I did skim it, and it seems like there's some new stuff in there. So if you're thinking, well, we already saw the trailer, there's some new things in here. Obviously, there's some repeats. They don't always want to show you more than, maybe some scenes from the first couple of episodes. That seems to be the template, the model here.
Right.
Because they want to leave a lot of surprises. But I will say, if this is the first couple of episodes, it seems pretty action-packed. Action-packed, so...
The story is really starting to reveal itself, and we're starting to finally understand what the real energy is behind this series and where this story is heading. Of course, this is the earliest example of live-action storytelling that we're seeing on the Star Wars timeline.
Yeah.
Until the James Mangold film comes out, showing the origins of the Jedi and the Force, this is going to be the earliest step back in time. What, 100 years before the Phantom Menace?
100 years. There was speculation that it was a while back. So there was some confusion. Was it 50? Is it 100? And then I think they came out and they said it is 100. But nonetheless, 100 years, it's not that long. It's not that long. So we are going to be seeing the transitional years between the High Republic and in the prequel era. There's a new, I think they have the new timeline book came out maybe a year or so ago, and they've kind of renamed some of these eras. But I call it the prequel era. I think it might be like Rise of the Empire, or something like that. Rise of the Sith. I'm not really sure. I called the prequel era. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see. I know there are people out there that love the High Republic, and they're jazzed to see some of these ideas showing up in live action. But for me, I'm hoping that by the end of this, that we see Darth Tenebris, maybe even hear the name Plagueis. Not really sure.
Yes.
Tenebris is the Sith Lord that was the to Darth Plagueis, who was then the Sith Lord to Sidious. So I'm not going to get that greedy, but I would love to see I'd love to see a Tenebris. So yeah, so we should dive into it. Let's because I have some, like you, Jim. I'm starting to kind of formulate a plot in my head from this.
Yes.
I could be wrong, but I think I'm starting to get an idea of this. So let's go ahead and play it. I hope we have subtitles. I tried to get subtitles on this. We'll give it a whirl. Keep the volume at a reasonable level.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
All right, last night a Jedi was murdered, and we see, ominously, a lightsaber here on a floor, kind of like maybe the murderer is leaving, or maybe this is the investigator coming in to see what's going on. But a Jedi is murdered, and so this is one of the plot points that we're hearing about, which is that Jedi are being hunted, Jedi are being exterminated, Jedi are being tracked down. Foreshadowing to what would happen 100 years later with Order 66. But there's a sense that, wow, we've never seen anything like this. That's the sense that I get throughout this trailer, is for a lot of what they're seeing and they're experiencing, these Jedi are seeing this for the very first time because they're coming out of this Gilded Age for Jedi.
And we also know that the Jedi have gotten comfortable as far as their status in the galaxy. They're sitting pretty. There's very few things that threaten them. The events of the High Republic are in the past, and whatever challenges they faced during that, they survived. They defeated and survived. So they're feeling pretty good about themselves as far as being rather untouchable. Even, they've proven themselves by facing down serious threats from outside the galaxy, according to the stories of the High Republic, which happened prior to all of this. This is the very end of the High Republic era. And they're dealing with something, a new threat that's emerging and wiping out Jedi. And so they investigate.
Credit here from the studio that brought you The Mandalorian, Andor, and Ahsoka, and a few others we're not going to mention. But
Obi-Wan Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, ring any bells? It's like, no, we're just, which three are we going to? I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that meeting. Hey, so we're editing the trailer for Acolyte, and we want to say it's from the studio that brought you The Mandalorian. And they're like, oh, we're down with that. Everyone, yeah. Wait, can you also put in Andor? Can you put in Ahsoka? Oh, yeah, it's starting to get a little top heavy now, but sure. Yeah, I mean, what about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett? Murmur, 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 murmur. Okay, fine. I'll just put those three in, or four, or whatever it is. Which ones do they say? Andor, Ahsoka, Mandalorian,
Mandalorian, Andor, and Ahsoka. Ahsoka because it's the most recent and it's Dave's baby. Andor because it's got the Tony Gilroy pedigree to it, and they want to keep him happy, and I hope they do. And The Mandalorian because it's clearly the biggest success. So pretty obvious why these would be the three. Check this out, Jedi Temple.
Looking good.
Yeah, look at how different Coruscant looks.
Does it look different? What are we missing?
I think it looks different.
Coruscant?
I just think it looks brighter. It looks cleaner. I think it does. Maybe it's just the lighting. Doesn't look as gray. Doesn't look as industrial to me. It has this beigey kind of look.
Oh, okay.
Again, it could be
I
the
don't
time
quite
of day.
pick up on that, but
I only see it in the, I only see it like in the dusk. the dusk. But
there was definitely more mood lighting going on when the Jedi Temple was shown on the prequel films.
Yes, for sure. All right, and here is Soul, I believe his name
Master
is.
Soul.
Master Soul.
Yes.
Li Zhongzhe.
Li Zhongzhe.
Yeah, and we've seen these shots before, the younglings with their wooden staffs.
And notice, it's they're all wearing uniforms. It's all the same stuff, Jedi robes.
Yep.
Kind of a cream and gold look to them, as opposed to the brown burlap sacks the Jedi wear in the prequel era. You see that there's much more color, gold. It says a lot about how the Jedi perceive themselves, I think, in this era.
Very much so. Very aristocratic, maybe, as opposed to those earthy tones that you get in the original trilogy and the prequels.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel like a little more highbrow.
The Jedi in the prequel wear the brown burlaps. They look almost like peasants themselves. I think they try to keep themselves, status-wise on a much lower level that way too, just philosophically. In this era, it looks like the Jedi are more like the knights that you think of, with the glitz and the glamour.
Like there's a status attached to this versus versus being a servant of the people.
Yeah, and also it reminds me of Luke's shorty robe.
And Luke's shorty robe.
As you can see. Yeah. The only real similarity to the Jedi we see in the prequels are the belts. Mm-hmm. Everything else is much more of a brighter color. Even the surroundings in the Jedi Temple. So I think you're onto something when you say Coruscant looks clean, because this looks really clean with the gold robes and everything.
All right. So
justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace.
Oh, I wanted to call this out. This is pretty cool. So right here you see behind these energy fields, very Phantom Menace-y here. All right, this guy, by the way, here.
In the name of peace.
Little dialogue I want to
dominance. In the name of their galactic dominance. In the name of peace.
All right, so this guy talking to May, played by Amanda Stenberg, talking about the Jedi. Sounds like maybe in sort of a sarcastic way. Like he's not too impressed by the Jedi. Let's hear that again.
Justify their galactic dominance.
Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace. Mm-hmm. Okay. Doesn't sound, I don't think he's a fan. I don't think he's a fan of the J.
Those are the words of a dude who got busted by a Jedi. He was doing something wrong, and he done got busted by a Jedi.
Yes.
I guarantee it. Yeah.
He did hard labor.
He's got a chip on his shoulder, this guy.
Yeah.
Got a chip.
But that piece.
This
somebody
like,
climbing an outside wall.
I think this is May, possibly May here. She's an assassin. So, assassins have to get in and out of places. So I think that's what we're seeing here.
But that piece is a lie.
All right, that's critical. That piece is a lie. So the Jedi, they justify their position in the galaxy as peacekeepers, but the piece is a lie. And as you said, Jim, the High Republic is full of, I've not really read it or gotten into it, but there's obviously big bads and there's drama. And you said, look, this is a new threat. This is a new enemy. And I think we can safely say that new enemy, that new threat is the Sith. Ki-Adi-Mundi said that the Sith had been extinct for a millennium. So, all this boogeyman stuff that we see in this trailer and in the last trailer points to this is the rise of the Sith.
Yes, the rule of two is laid dormant with these Sith operating underground in the shadows, never out in the open, but they're gradually ramping up. There's some sort of energy in the universe. The Force, they can feel the balance of the Force beginning to tip. And so they're starting to become maybe a little more aggressive at this point in the timeline, 100 years prior to the Phantom Menace. A lot of people say, well, if Ki-Adi-Mundi says that the Sith have been extinct for a millennium, why are we seeing red blades in these trailers? Why are we seeing Sith acolytes becoming visible to the Republic at this time? Maybe at the end of this entire story, it's all going to be written off by the Jedi as these guys are nothing more than mere pretenders, and they'll have like evidence to back it up.
I think that you're 1,000% right. I think what's going is that we're going to see the hubris and the arrogance that is referred to in the prequels and in, of course, then in the sequels by Luke Skywalker himself. We're going to see that sort of take shape in perhaps constructing a narrative around this, that maybe a cover-up, something like that, or they're just going to stick their heads in the sand.
Well, it might be more than just Jedi hubris. It also might be exposing the true power of the Sith and their ability to manipulate all the situations, their ability to cover things up and work in the shadows. They've been working in the shadows for 1,000 years. If they think all of a sudden they're exposed, they're going to use everything at their power to cover it up, to create a phony scenario, present it as it's real. All of this stuff. The Sith are the top experts in the game when it comes to that stuff.
So you might have a combination of things. You might have Jedi that are willing, on the one hand, to downplay the threat that the Sith pose, and on the other side, you've got a Sith that's trying to exert its influence and certainly not get in the way of the Jedi doing that. So it could be both forces. Kind of in an odd way, working together but not knowing it. The Sith want to cover their tracks, and it seems like maybe the Jedi don't want word getting out that the Sith, after the Great War of the millennium, the Sith are back and on the rise. So,
and it also goes to show you in the Phantom Menace when Ki-Adi-Mundi says that line about the Sith not being around for a millennium, it also could be indicative of what is making the Jedi of that era flawed to begin with. What's making the Jedi of that era an easy target for the Sith. It's because of some backwards ass ways that they're going about things by making themselves servants of a government.
Yes.
That might be revealed as the true flaw of the Jedi at the end of the day. Why was the Sith able to finally, after 1,000 years, become visible and overthrow the galaxy? It's because the Jedi got their priorities screwed up. And they it's like what Beresoffi says, they became servants of evil, maybe without even realizing it. That is what really happened.
Sure.
With the Sith always working in the shadows. Nobody knew Palpatine was a Sith Lord. And here he is, Chancellor of the Galaxy, with emergency powers at his disposal. He could stay in office as long as he wants. The stage had been set. Set.
You could look at this. I mean, we know that the Sith have always played the long game. I mean, Palpatine, Plagueis, Tenebris, they were always playing the long game. And so what you might see is manipulations that push the Jedi into being more entwined with the government, that gives then a Palpatine the opportunity to, as head of the government, to destroy the Jedi from within. So they might be driving that connection more. And we could see that in this series.
When you dig beneath the surface of all of this stuff there are multiple avenues to explore, multiple. And it's so much more than what just appears on the surface. And the manipulation becomes more and more apparent as you realize what the Sith had been doing to put themselves into the position of power that we see when Palpatine finally becomes the Chancellor of the Galaxy. So, all right, let's dive into this because we're spending a lot of time now really getting off on our theories when we should be evaluating this trailer.
What's here? Okay. All right, so here's more of the Carrie and Moss duel. Indara against May, which we've seen this ad nauseum. We've seen this a lot.
Yes, we've seen this a lot of times.
And this,
my theory on this is that Indara is the Jedi that gets assassinated in episode 1. She will get assassinated by May, and that launches this entire investigation by the Jedi Council. And we're seeing all of this here in the trailer.
Oh, I got a theory, but I'll wait till the end. Got a theory on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Jedi are being hunted.
All right. Again,
who's that?
Wait a minute. This is new, right? This feels new.
I don't know what that is. This could be. Can you zoom in on this guy he's wearing a white cloak, and it appears that May the assassin is approaching him. He may be a prisoner. It appears
like
he
might
Jedi.
Be in some sort of trance or something. What's he doing here? He's got his arms sort of outstretched. It looks abnormal. He's staring straight forward.
Yeah. Does he have goggles on?
No, I don't see any goggles. I think that's just
that's just the shadows.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not wearing goggles. That's just the shadows.
No, and I don't see any shackles. Kind of hard to make out what this is. These are at the end of his robes where his hands would be. Almost looks like a hoof of an animal.
It's so otherworldly, whatever that is. Whatever he's
right
doing.
In here.
It's kind of creepy. Like he's in some sort of trance or something.
Yeah.
And she's approaching him like, hey, what's up? I'm May the assassin.
Do you think that that's May there? Oh, this is like in that courtyard. Because you can see, like, I'm calling it a courtyard, but you can see, like, the entrance and the steps behind them to, some other dwellings, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, let it play. See if this guy does anything. No, he just stands there. And then It
is her. Yep. And she whips out that knife. And does her
puts on a little
Jedi thing.
She does a spin. She flips in the air, does a spin, pulls out the knife, but it doesn't look like she necessarily is striking him. Maybe she is. What else would she be doing?
I think she's stopping short. Stopping short.
Yeah, either she's stabbing that guy or the thing that he's reaching out towards is a charcuterie board, and she's there to help cut the meats and the cheeses.
Now, this looks like a saber hilt maybe that's buried in the ground.
Yes.
Okay. So it could be after if she offs this dude, then perhaps that's his saber that,
Wow.
The camera fades away from his saber laying there.
This is a great way to watch this thing is your slow mowing stuff, zooming in. Yeah. I feel like I'm watching this trailer for the first time ever. What is that? Is that a saber hilt? It looks like maybe a communications device. It's
that
buried.
Could be a communications device. You're right, because it looks like there's some lights going on it. Like maybe this is sending out some sort of a signal,
or maybe it's a saber hilt that's been busted open.
I think, dude, is that like kyber crystal or something in there?
Yeah, it could be.
Because later we'll see May, spoiler alert, in this trailer with a kyber crystal around her neck.
She was.
All right, here we see some. All right, is this a Zabrak female right here?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. It's probably related to Darth Maul or Savage Opress. That's Savage's old lady.
Yeah. Possibly.
The Lady Opress.
They're all robed up uniformly. And I think, wait a minute, we've seen their leader that, the leader of the witches. Could these be these witches? That's
yeah, I think you're right. I think
Mother Anissa, is that her name?
Yeah, they're more like
Anastasia, maybe? Mother Anastasia?
Right. Yes, I think they're part of a coven or something, and this is just a brief glimpse at some of their membership.
Witches leave.
She was my student.
A little flashback scene. Here's a young Master Soul with a young May. So this is confirmation that, yes, young May is the protege, is the Padawan of Master Soul. But look at the coven that we were just talking about seem to be hanging around. They're in the background. So are they, as Master Soul is handing young May a lightsaber, is this like maybe some sort of ceremony or ritual where she could be getting a lightsaber?
Usually that stuff happens exclusively in the Jedi Temple.
Right, that's true. That's true.
You know, and she's not dressed like a Jedi youngling.
Right.
This is for sure. Maybe her father was a Jedi.
Maybe this is when they find her and pluck her from her.
Yeah. And then, he notices the Force is strong from her.
Yeah.
And this is obviously a flashback. Young May, or is it young May? There's a theory going on out there, and I'm beginning to kind of feel it's true. Amanda Stenberg plays two characters, twin sisters, May the assassin, and her sister the Jedi, who is the Padawan to Master Soul.
Sister.
You've not heard that rumor?
I've not heard that rumor. No. I'm hearing it here.
On the poster, there's a poster that features May looking one way with the mask on and looking the other way without the mask in the same poster in the background. And it feels like they could be twins. And there's other evidence that points in that direction.
Okay, so
but right here, this looks like a flashback scene. Yeah. Obviously, Master Soul does not have the longer Jedi hair with the ponytail.
Right.
He's got shorter hair here. And why is he handing this kid the lightsaber? You're right, Jason. This might be when he discovers her, but she is kind of old, too old to be trained. I was going to say that.
Yeah, too old to be trained. We know how that goes.
Yeah. Right. So maybe this is how they learned that. You can be too old to be trained, is with what happens in the Acolyte.
Right. Yeah, so that could be right, when they all figure that out. That's definitely a saber hilt, as we see that. Yeah. And then here's another shot. Oh, yeah. So there is Lady Aniessa. Mother. Sorry.
Looks like, she has some tattoo on her forehead. It looks like a bunch of circles, like a maze of circles.
See some Twi'lek Leku back there?
Yes. Striped Leku, my favorite.
It's favorite flavor.
I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in.
Okay, so obviously there's this threat that's going on. They're talking about Jedi being hunted, and then you hear Master Soul talking about May. We get flashbacks. I was her master. Let me be the one to bring her in. My theory is, well, I'll wait.
That's the second time you've done that.
This is the confrontation. So here they are.
Yeah.
Soul and May. So he's going to bring her in, and this is the reunion. The starship. Oh, that's
Starship
cool.
in space.
How it breaks up.
Yeah. It's kind of like the saucer separating.
I was just saying that.
Saucer from the Enterprise, the saucer separation. All right. I'm sorry, I should have given you the Star Trek reference.
It's all right. The planet. Any is it ringing any bells here? It looks like any other.
Looks like Earth.
It does look like Earth, yeah.
It's Earth.
Yeah, very green and blue.
No, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some familiar planets as environments in this show, but just randomly looking at a planet, I can't tell. The only planet I could really recognize instantly, there's two, or maybe three. Coruscant, of course, because you always see the city grids that rounded, and then Tatooine because it's Tatooine,
right?
And Hoth because it's all white.
Hoth, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Other than that, I'm sketchy when it comes to just eyeballing a planet and saying, "Oh, I know what planet that is."
I sense this is only a small part of a larger plan.
Small part of a larger plan. So they're having some sort of meeting here.
The green one.
Yeah, the green one.
She's Vanestra Rowe from the High Republic novels. In those novels, she's a teenager. Here, she's like 100 years old, right?
Okay.
And what's cool about her character is she uses a lightsaber whip. That's like the coolest thing about her character, and that's pretty damn cool. And from what I heard in this show, you do see her use the lightsaber whip.
How Indiana Jones of her.
Good. Yeah, right. I didn't even think of that, but yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Part of a larger plan.
All right.
Jedi younglings.
Yeah, so check this out. So these look to be maybe like the same coven of witches, potentially. They're doing some sort of ceremony, and then all of a sudden, for you X-Files fans, check this out. He gets the black oil. He gets this young Jedi, gets the black oil, the eyes go black, and he goes down.
But it almost looks like he's worshiping, not collapsing.
Right.
As you notice, when he goes down, he holds his arms out.
Yeah,
as if he's like, hey, I'm all on board with the black oil in my eyeballs. This is a good idea. But it's also some Night Sister stuff. Didn't we see Morgan Elsbeth get sort of a black oil in her eyes?
She did. You're right. She did.
So, yeah, these guys might be somehow associated with the Night Sisters.
I'm also never going to argue with you again about anything that Morgan Elsbeth may have done or said. So I'm going to...
Revenge!
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Some sort of shift.
Octo!
No.
No?
No, that's not... No. Octo was alone. It was just alone. It didn't have that panhandle that this island has.
Yeah, I guess there was no beach, was there? Octo didn't have a beachfront. It looks very
and Octo, right. This is just like right off the shore. It's almost like some giant coral reef from hell or something. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not Octo.
Shift to tip the scales.
A shift to tip the scales. We got a very shadowy character here. Female, I think. Can't say for sure, but there's something about the shoulders, the hair, the silhouette.
You're right.
Standing on this.
That. Maybe that could be the twin.
Could be the
May's twin. But she says tip the scales, Is she talking about the balance of the Force? Is that something that's going to be heavily discussed in the show? I think it will be. But, or maybe not, because that is prequel territory when you talk about the balance of the Force tipping. That's something that I don't know should really be obvious to the characters of this era. I think it should be obvious only to the characters of the Phantom Menace era. They're the ones who recognize the shift.
So. Well, but isn't there a prophecy of the one who will bring balance? And that prophecy, I would assume, predates those characters.
Yeah, I guess the Force is, that's an interesting point you bring up. I guess the Force is never actually in balance for the Jedi, because they talk about the prophecy of the one who will bring balance to the Force. So obviously, it's always sort of tipped. There's always evil. But when the Sith reach their apex of power, the balance tips way too sharply in their favor. So the Jedi they seek to eradicate all evil, to provide balance.
The balance is squishy. There's room to bake that cake a little more. The whole balance.
I think so. So.
It's time to face the past.
All right, here we go. So here she is. Here's May.
She does have that lightsaber crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks just like the ones you buy from Galaxy's Edge in the little container.
Well, there you go.
How nutty.
And so we saw that lightsaber hilt earlier, which looked like maybe it was split open. So maybe this is a trophy. I'm assuming it's a trophy. She's an assassin. She's got something around her neck like the Predator used to wear the skulls around his neck. General Grievous used to collect lightsaber hilts. She's into crystals. She's a crystal girl.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, she must have acquired it when she assassinated Master Andara. Carrie Ann Moss from The Matrix, I predict will be wiped out in the first episode.
Boy, our fans going to be bummed if she's wiped out in the beginning.
Yeah, she'll be wiped out in the first episode.
Remember when we all were contemplating about, Max von Sydow. Oh, what a venerable actor he is. Wow, he's going to be the new Obi-Wan Kenobi in this in the sequel trilogy. He's going to be the Peter Cushing. He's going to bring the gravitas. He was wiped out pretty fast.
This will begin to make things right. Famous last words. No one is safe.
We've got some fires, some things blowing up here.
Yeah. Running through the forest, fires in the forest.
Oh, look at that. Jedi always march single file to hide their numbers.
Well, that's outstanding scenery and a cool location shot if it is one. It might be some digital matte paintings happening here, but I get definite Lord of the Rings vibes here. This feels very Peter Jackson, New Zealand type of a shoot with them all marching and there they go, marching toward Mordor. Which one has the ring?
Oh, Mr. Frodo. Oh, here's a close-up of Carrie Ann Moss as she's getting, almost like she's meditating, coming out of meditation, perhaps, and getting startled.
I think another flashback because you see Master Soul in the background. He has his shorter hair.
He's got the short hair. There you go.
He's got the short hair. So I think
right.
this is a flashback.
I think she dead. That's what I think.
Destiny is not decided for you by anonymous force.
See if we missed anything here. This is all pretty much what we saw in the first trailer. Flipping the table here. Who's that going up against her?
We may have seen this guy in an earlier shot. I don't know. There's a hooded character with a blaster opening
Couldn't
fire.
tell if that's
Who's
a
he
hood.
shooting at?
Yeah, I think it's a hood. I was like, is that some sort of like alien head?
Yeah, really hard to tell from this vantage point with this lighting. Who's he shooting at? I didn't even see that.
Oh, that's May. May throws the table over.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely some sort of alien head. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Look at him. Is he one of those Eth Koths? I think he's an Eth Koth.
Is he an Eth
character?
Koth? Oh, yeah, he's got the horns. Yeah.
Eth Koth. Yeah. That Jedi from the prequels. He's one of those, I think.
Right.
It's hard to tell.
I think you're right.
Anonymous force. If you want to pull the thread.
Okay, so this may be another flashback sequence here because this looks like young May with maybe a younger mother Anastasia.
Right. So she is somehow a mentor type character or a matriarch for May. Again, assuming that's May. Because like I said, there's the twin theory out there that has sort of been coming on my radar more and more.
What if this is a character that does get plucked out from the witches and gets chosen to perhaps, or is given the choice, either stay with the Coven of Witches or come with me to Coruscant and be trained as a Jedi? She's already got exposure to the Force and manipulating the Force, but maybe there's something about this particular kid that Jedi Master Soul feels would be better served as a Jedi or in the Jedi way.
Or maybe there's two kids and her twin sister got taken to be a Jedi. I can't stop. Maybe there's two kids. The twin sister got taken to become a Jedi and she was left behind. And she's bitter about that. So that made her susceptible to the dark side. Because she had latent force abilities. Just nobody knew it except for her. And maybe that mother Anastasia.
Jimmy Mack is writing fan fiction right now. Right now, you can.
Fan film. Fan film.
Oh,
I'm
here's
shoot
that
my
blade.
own film. You're going to star in it, Swank. It's
Oh,
going
I'd
to
love
be you,
to.
me, Tyler, the Babu Freaks, Joe Dallas. It's going to be hilarious. Okay, knife
here's
to the
that
neck.
Knife to the neck here, and this young Jedi.
I'll change everything.
All right, and this is all leading up to what we saw.
And pull it.
Red-bladed saber.
Red blade.
Master Saul, we're in a forest. It looks like I'm a jungle forest. There's a dark sider wielding a red-bladed saber, and it appears ready to have a showdown with Jedi. We see Master Saul. We see 3 or 4 other Jedi Padawans, I would say, because they're young.
All right.
Kind of a Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren helmet is what I'm thinking. Absolutely. Look at this. It even has almost like these rivets or these metal pieces that look kind of like a deranged mouth.
Yeah,
It's very
like a grin,
alien looking.
like a Joker kind of mouth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Looks very sinister. That's for darn sure.
All right. Well, what's this guy going to bring to the table?
What are you?
Let's get a pause on that because we see him a little bit more from the front.
Master Soul says, "What are you?" And then the guy just chucks his red-bladed saber at Master Soul. That's how the editing in the trailer wants us to believe the course of events happen. It could be vastly different in the show,
right?
Because we know they edit trailers sometimes with things very much out of sequence and kind of to throw you off the trail. That's a great freeze frame you have there, though, of the Sith Lord in the shadows with the reflection of the red blade on its mask, and you can really see that sinister silver-stitched grin on its face.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very
Good
creepy.
stuff. Yeah, that's awesome.
There you go. Acolyte.
The Acolyte. 2-episode premiere, June
All right, so
4th.
So my theory is that May is coming. She's looking for her Jedi Master soul to warn them of this threat. I don't think she is the threat. I think she knows of the threat, and she's trying to get to the Jedi to warn them. I think that because it's not just a threat to them, but it's a threat to her as well. Something bigger. Maybe she was a part of it at one point, but it's too much. So I think that May is going to start out as an antagonist, but I think she's going to end up being a protagonist.
I'm sticking with my twins. I can't see it otherwise.
Possible. It's possible. So maybe this isn't a male character. Maybe this is one of the twins. And so you've got one twin coming back to try to warn the Jedi and about her twin.
I don't think so. I think this is a different character. But I think this is like, May the Assassin. I think she's the Acolyte. And I think that who we're looking at here may be the apprentice to the Sith Lord, who could be Darth Tenebris, if they want to stick with the old.
Well, who's May an acolyte of? The Sith?
The apprentice. Sort of like how Asajj Ventress was an acolyte of Count Dooku.
I see. Okay.
And Dooku was an apprentice of Sidious.
So sort of an unofficial apprentice.
Yes.
The acolyte.
Yeah. I look at, like you have Sith Lord, then you have apprentice, then you have acolyte. That's how the pecking order goes. Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you want to look at the expanded universe, Galen Merrick, the Star Killer from The Force Unleashed, he would be an acolyte of Darth Vader. I mean, an acolyte of the Sith altogether, but answering to the apprentice of the Sith Lord.
Okay.
And sometimes occasionally answering to the Sith Lord.
Okay, I'll buy that. Well, maybe there's more in this other. There's a promo. It's a quickie, a little 30-second promo. Let's take a look at that now and see if this might give us even more clues.
We need clues. Master and Dara again, Carrie-Anne Moss, as May the Assassin walks in to have the showdown. They're in some sort of, I don't know, a cantina or,
a Jedi and a Sith walk into a bar.
Yeah, right. Yeah, looks like that's the situation.
Who trained you?
Who trained you? It would be that black helmeted guy with the evil smile. That's who it is. Maybe. Or it could be Master Salt.
So a lot more of this fight.
This brawl. Kick her in the gut. And she's dressed much more like your traditional prequel Jedi. I want to say that about Carrie-Anne Moss.
Carrie-Anne Moss, yeah. Definitely the browns and the tans.
Yeah, she has more of that look you expect to see in The Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones. I mean, she's got that look. She's not wearing the gold. She has the burlap sack. and
notice that she's sparring with May, and the saber is still on her belt. So she's using force abilities, not saber skills here.
Right. I guess she thinks that's an unfair advantage to use a saber against a knife. Obi-Wan Kenobi wouldn't think twice of it. He would chop the arm off regardless.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got his double blades.
More knives. Oh,
Here
now
comes the saber.
Comes out. Yeah. Soon. Soon as the knives start throwing and flying, here comes the saber, and cutting those knives down.
Cool green bladed saber.
Yeah.
Star Wars The Acolyte, 2-episode premiere June 4th, only
June
on Disney
4th.
Plus.
There you go.
Oh, I think there was another one that I was looking at, another one of these promos, where you have Amandla Stenberg saying, I didn't do it. You have to believe me. She's like pleading, her innocence. And
Really?
to me, that kind of backs up the twins theory a little more.
This is the one that showed up on X.
Yeah, this
So let's
one
look
really
at this
caught
one.
my attention.
All right, let's look at this one.
Someone is killing Jedi. It doesn't make sense. She was my student. I trained her.
Now she is a student of the dark side.
Okay. I trained her. She was a student. Now she's a student of the dark side, says this young Jedi.
Yeah.
Student of the dark side, an acolyte.
An acolyte. Student of the dark side, an acolyte. So to them, yep. Hey, look, it's Kobaka. Kochaka. Kelnaka, that's right, in the background.
Kelnaka.
Oh, no. Notice that it's young Jedi Master Soul. Does that mean that Kelnaka is just going to show up in flashbacks?
Ooh, you might be on something there. I would like to see him become a regular part of the gang.
I wouldn't.
Whatever the gang is. Who knows?
I wouldn't.
But you're right. That is an important detail to pay attention to.
One thing that annoys me more than a Wookiee Jedi is one with a top knot.
Yeah, he got the top knot. So he's ready. You know, he's tall enough. He has the top knot. Just sign him up for the NBA now.
Let me be the one to bring her in.
I didn't do it.
Ooh, I didn't do it.
That's the thing. I didn't do it.
Oh, this is her Richard Kimball moment. I don't care, says Jedi Master Soul. As
That's
she's standing
a
there ready
great
to do a Peter
comparison.
Pan off the.
That is a
just did
great
Peter Pan.
comparison.
Yeah, the fugitive here. But okay, all
ready
right.
to jump off the waterfall there, and that's definitely her, right?
That's definitely that's definitely her. Oh, now they're
dressed very differently.
Very differently. I can see why you got this twin theory. Oh,
there. Oh, younger. So this is a flashback. I think is that younger? I can't even tell. The hair looks the same.
I think it's modern. Or current time, because if we look at Master Soul, he's got the long hair and he's looking at her.
True, but again, this stuff can be edited out of sequence.
I know.
To throw Rebel Force Radio off specifically.
Right, that's what they live for, those guys.
I love that kind of shot there with all the lightsabers drawn, all the different colors.
Oh, it's very cool.
Green, blue. The yellow falls out of favor by the time of the prequel era. I wonder if we'll get a story about why that happens. Oh, you have a yellow one? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they, one thing's for sure, they don't always tie up all the loose ends when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah, but that's when headcanon becomes so much fun.
There it is. All right, well, had I seen that before, I might not have thought your twin theory was so crazy. I actually think that based on that you might be, you very well, you and the rest of the internet might be onto something.
Yeah, I'm certainly not the only one who's thinking this. And, I was fueled by rumors that were thrown at me first. But then I started to notice there are things that sort of add up to that sort of speculation. So
maybe they're not twins. Maybe they're clones.
Maybe. But I have to tell you,
I don't think.
Hey, it's Star Wars, my friend.
Right.
We have clones happening in the prequels, but we also have clones happening in the sequels. Hello, Palpatine. So, and even in The Mandalorian. So that could be that. Who knows? I'd like to hold off on the cloning until we hook up with Kaminoans in Episode 2. I think George Lucas would look at storytelling from that standpoint, where one thing has to lead to another, and you don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse, especially when it comes to clones. But I got to say that this newer footage does have me a little more jacked up about the Acolyte dropping in a couple 2.5 weeks. So I think there's definitely some cool stuff there that if it's executed properly and fits in with the Star Wars saga as we know it, I think this could be a very valuable addition because, as I said, it's the earliest live-action storytelling happening in the timeline.
Yeah. Some people are really excited about the blank slate aspect of it. I'm more interested in the fact that this is going to connect the prequels. I think a prequel to the prequels is something that I've wanted to see for a long time. Certainly loved it in the Plagueis novel. Didn't realize that it was something that I needed until I did read that Plagueis novel. And I'm like, wow, I do need this story.
Cool a prequel stuff. To the prequels. Sign me up. Hey, can I ask you, have you gone to see The Phantom Menace in the theater since it was re-released?
I have not.
I have not either. So it's playing just a block away from my house.
You could walk there.
I'm shooting for maybe a Thursday. My buddy Steve has seen it 3 times. He's going crazy.
Wow.
And if Steve's seeing it that many times, I have to see it at least once because Steve is a guy who was my Star Wars buddy back in 1999. And I saw The Phantom Menace with him for the very first time. And so if he's riding this wave, he and his son Max, who's like, 6 years old now, they keep going back. And so he's really bonding with his son over this stuff. And that's, that's a great power of Star Wars and something I've always appreciated about the trilogy and specifically The Phantom Menace. I thought that it was an unappreciated classic back in the day, and I couldn't understand why people had so much vitriol toward it and everything. I
it
really
wasn't the
it
story they thought they were getting. That I think it really comes down to that. I think that was the biggest problem, and there was no way that George was going to be able to surmount that. Yes, there are some issues with some characters and some of the dialogue, but I think at the end of the day, that is the problem that people had with it. Maybe they didn't articulate it that well. Obviously, they didn't, but I think that was it.
I think it's aged pretty well because Variety recently had a report, and despite the fact that it received a lot of negativity upon its release, the negativity didn't last, and the film, according to multiple sources, is the most viewed Star Wars movie on Disney Plus worldwide. The Phantom freaking Menace. Yes.
I don't put a whole lot of stock in the publicity, the PR surrounding streaming numbers.
It's tough. It's tough. But I mean, I'm just saying this is a way of sort of celebrating TPM, as the film itself is celebrating its 25th anniversary. I have a clip here actually from Anakin Skywalker himself upon hearing the news that The Phantom Menace is the most viewed Star Wars film on Disney Plus. Yay!
Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say.
I feel the same way. You little bastard. All right. Can we do one more story? We have time for one more?
Yeah, Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew is coming in Christmas. We don't know if it's going to be Christmas Day or not. Phil Tippett is doing some of the special effects. They got stop motion effects from Phil Tippett. Can we do the Oreo story?
You want to do the Oreo story? Let's do
I
the
think
Oreo
that's
story.
the most important story of the week. The fact that I really do. There's going to be Oreos. Star Wars Oreos are on the way, featuring Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and more on each cookie. And you're going to have your choice of specialty packs. One for the dark side, one for the light side. Dark side has red filling. Light side has blue filling. Naturally.
It doesn't. I hope it doesn't taste blue.
The character illustrations were conceived by original Star Wars poster artist, illustrator Greg Hildebrandt himself.
No way.
Who, with his yes.
Look at these.
So
Look at these. Light and dark. Well, they're all dark in the sense that they're all Oreos, all chocolate Oreos. So it's the creamy filling that makes it light side or dark side. But you got your Darth Vader, your Maul, your Sidious, your Kylo Ren, of course Luke Skywalker, Han, Leia, Jabba the Hutt, Stormtrooper, Boba Fett, Grievous, Count Dooku, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Old Ben, by the way, Yoda, Rey. Oh.
Rey! With filling.
You have to do once you eat that cookie. Mace Windu, C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewbacca, and a Scout Trooper. Grievous, Count Dooku, Young Ben? No, that's Old Ben. Oh, I just skipped that row. Okay.
Oh, Ben looks like Palpatine in that shit.
I know. Look at that.
Look at him. He looks like he needs some water or something.
he's
Poor
all
Ben.
shriveling up.
But I mean, there's only so much detail you could put in an Oreo cookie.
Only so
I'm
much.
pretty impressed. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed.
Well, this is baffling because, I mean, I love it. I love anytime you can go into a grocery store or drugstore and get Star Wars tie-in merch like cookies or sodas or things like that, but it's not a big anniversary year. This is great. This is just it's a real nice surprise, this promotion. I will tell you that I got a little nostalgic for this one because I remember being a kid, and Return of the Jedi was so important to me as a kid, when Pepperidge Farm did a very similar promotion. They had their light side and dark side cookies. And these I can close my eyes and taste what these cookies tasted like. These Star Wars cookies from Pepperidge Farm. So they had the light side. In this case, they were sort of cutouts. So the peanut butter was the light side. And although Max Rebo, was he really a light sider? I don't know. That's kind of an odd choice, but
he's just damn entertaining. That's all.
Right. They were.
I mean, how could
Return of
you
the
say
Jedi.
Max? Look how cute he is. How could you say he's
I know.
bad? He's a dark sider. We know that Max meant he intended. He had best, good intentions.
Good intentions. But on the bad side, you got the Gamorrean Guard, Emperor's Royal Guard, a bib. I remember getting that Bib Fortuna cookie, and then the Darth Vader. But so yeah, I dig this. I love that this is, we've got Star Wars cookies back, and how better than you can't do any better than Oreos. That's incredible.
Oh, I love Oreo. That's like a staple in my house. There's always Oreo cookies in my house, and I like to eat them and then like rub them on my teeth to get that Darth Maul look on the teeth, with the dirty teeth.
I hear that's how they did it, by the way. I hear that's how they did it.
I demonstrated this once on RFR Q&A. But dark side or light side, open to discover your destiny, so you pop them open. No word yet on whether or not double stuff offerings will be made with the Star Wars brand, but
it would be a double stuff. Thinking Gamorrean Guard might be a double stuff. You get your
Jabba. Just you get a whole pack of Jabbas.
Jabba.
It's all Jabba. Double stuffed.
Yeah.
But so they got Josh Gad, actor Josh Gad, to be the spokesperson for these Star Wars Oreos. And he had some comments to make about them in an interview he did with Collider. And we have a few highlights here. Here's Josh just basically giving us a little breakdown about his theory about Oreos and Star Wars. And Josh really goes off the deep end with some of these ideas he has here. So let's hear what old Josh Gad has to say.
So when you watch the Star Wars films, it becomes readily apparent that there's not a lack of Oreo cookies represented in this universe, whether it's the Galactic Senate, or whether it's the stormtrooper masks and breathing apparatuses with little Oreo cookies in them.
Yeah.
Or whether it's a ship you may know as the Millennium Falcon, but those of us in the know call the Oreo cookie Millennium Falcon. You can't have cookies without Star Wars, and you can't have Star Wars without cookies. It's a theory that I think I've diligently proven to be true. So yeah, I look forward to other Star Wars sleuths going frame by frame and seeing what I've seen. But I'm confident that
if you look
this
hard
is
enough,
the intention of the filmmakers behind Star Wars.
See, this is a whole different take on the saga. I never heard of anybody really watching it through the lens of sandwich cookies, but Josh Gad certainly does that. He claims there's cookies on the Millennium Falcon. He's talking about those on the hull. You see
this would
those
have made it so much better if, yes, of
those exhaust vents. Those exhaust vents. There's 6 of them on the hull of the Millennium Falcon. Josh Gad claims those are Oreo cookies. This example, I think, is a pretty good one. The next one, I don't know. He says stormtroopers have Oreo cookies. He claims these things are the Oreos. I mean, maybe if you remove one of the cookies and you expose the creamy center, that could be.
I always thought those were the little speakers where their voices came out of.
I believe it
they
is,
speak in stereo.
He says it's a breathing apparatus. It's true that if they were in space, they could plug oxygen hoses into those things. I think this is their speaker right there, this black part in the middle. And then he says something about Oreo cookies in the Galactic Senate. And for the life of me, I don't know what the hell this nut job's talking about. Where do you see?
Well, I give him the Falcon. The Falcon's pretty compelling.
The Falcon's a good one. I did like the Falcon.
The storm. When he said the stormtrooper, I thought I wasn't picturing that it was like the grill. I was just thinking of the black dots, because when you see them simplified in animation and things, sometimes it's just the black dots. But as you point out with that beautiful Black Series replica helmet there, that it's definitely got that speaker grill going on. So I'm not going to go with that. The Senate, the pods, I don't know.
I have no idea.
When Palpatine's chucking the pods at Yoda, do those look like cookies spinning? Is he spinning a big cookie?
They don't look like cookies. Come on, Josh. Try harder. But if you can think of other Oreos in Star Wars, let us know. Let us know, not Josh. Don't tell Josh,
right? No,
because
no.
He's getting. I think he's throwing out some misdirection here when he talks about the Senate chamber, and I want to check his Star Wars cookie membership card just to make sure it's up to date. Josh does talk additionally about trying the cookies, and he sort of gives us a review.
I tried both light side and dark side. Light side being blue interiors, dark side being, can you guess?
Red.
Red. Very good. And each of these cookies has an image of a famous character from the Star Wars universe on them. It's really kind of like my favorite thing ever made outside of like my children, which I helped make. No, they're really good.
So Josh going out without a script. I got to hand it to him. I don't think that the PR machine was giving him a lot of copy points. I think they're like, hey, he did Book of Mormon. He's Josh Gad. He's just go out there.
He was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. They have no scripts.
Right.
Remember him do you remember him on Curb? He was that doctor who was wearing those tighty whities that were like 3 decades old.
Yes. Now that you mentioned this,
he was wondering why he was losing those clients.
Right.
Because he would bend over and you would see this shredded tidy whities poking out from his waistline. And so Larry set him straight. That's, I mean, sure, Josh has done a lot throughout his career. He was Olaf in Frozen and there, but I always think of him as the doctor with the old shredded tidy whities on Curb Your Enthusiasm. So,
that's fantastic. I forgot all about that. And then it was Josh Gad.
If anyone from Oreos or Josh Gad is listening, we'll talk to Josh Gad about Star Wars Oreos. We'll get the good stuff out of him too. We'll get the creamy filling out of him.
Double stuff even.
So I was researching. Swank. I love our job. I was researching Star Wars Oreos. All right. I'm like, there has to be something else.
This can't possibly be the first time these two Goliaths have collided.
Right. That's very true. And I discovered an Oreo cookie from a commercial, Oreo cookie commercial from 1997 featuring a young Jake Lloyd just prior to him being in The Phantom Menace. This is Jake when he was still anonymous. Nobody knew he was Anakin Skywalker, and he appeared in an Oreo commercial as a little kid early in his career. And I have that commercial, and I want to show it to you now.
Little Annie?
What you doing?
Duh.
Can I have a try? I'll give you a cookie. It's an Oreo.
All right, let's have it. One more. It's a deal.
Half.
Cream side.
Get real. In your dreams.
Only Oreo.
Actually, the older brother in that, I'm assuming it's his older brother, looked a little like Hayden Christensen to me. So it was like,
Wouldn't
wow,
that be
we've got.
wild?
Can you imagine? Talk about crazy coincidences. Well, have you? Okay, so here's the part of the Oreo story that blew my mind the most. Can I just say that according to the official release, the limited time packs will be available for pre-sale online May 30th. Have you ever in your life thought that you would pre-order Oreo cookies? They're everywhere. You go to any gas station, you go to any drugstore, any grocery store, movie theaters, everywhere. There's no short supply of Oreo cookies, but not these. You can get them pre-order online May 30th. They'll be available at retailers starting June 10th. Crazy. What a great, fun surprise that is. That's
Plus,
awesome.
on top of the fact that True Moo Star Wars Blue Milk is still available in your grocer's refrigerated section. You could be dipping Star Wars Oreos in True Moo Star Wars Blue Milk. I mean, it's really, it's taken snacking up to the next level.
I've got a Star Wars conspiracy theory here. I'm just going to say, I was scratching my head saying, why now? Why now, Oreo? Because someone tipped them off at, in Big Milk that they were going to be doing the blue milk. And so Oreo's like, guess what we got? We got the perfect thing to go with your blue milk. We got Oreos, Star Wars Oreos. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's gold. It's gold.
I certainly will be chowing them down. And, they are a limited edition.
Yes.
So that's why they're doing the pre-order. There was that limited edition Obi-Wan Kenobi Frosted Flakes. Never saw that on the shelves. There was also limited edition Obi-Wan Kenobi Ruffles, the potato chips.
Yeah,
never saw that on the shelves. So I'm going to actually pre-order this because I don't want this, unhealthy snack food to slip through my fingers with the Star Wars logo on it, for crying out loud. And how many collectors are going to be buying these and like putting like a liqueur on the cookies so they last forever?
I was thinking,
who's going to be the first?
You know
Who's
what I'd
gonna
like
be
to
the
see
first?
someone do? Here's what I want. I'll put the challenge out. I know there's some hobbyists in the Rebel Force Radio listening audience. Get one, scan them, and then 3D print these things. Now you can have Oreos that last forever. I don't know about the shellac. I tried that once with a.
Somebody's
going to
try it.
Mr. T back in the 80s. I made a gingerbread cookie of Mr. T. My Mr. T cookie. I was probably like 5-6 years old, and I tried. Grandma went out and got me the shellac, and I don't want to tell you what I found a year later, but let me just tell you,
a pit in a cookie.
It didn't keep the bugs away, I can tell you that.
The cicadas.
Wow, I still am thinking about that Acolyte trailer. When he says at the end, Jedi Master Soul, he doesn't say, who are you? He says, what are you? He's never seen that before. He's never seen a red sabered warrior like that. What are you? He's so baffled. And there's a line that's spoken that no one is safe from the truth. And what is the truth? I think the truth is that the Sith are on the rise.
Yes.
And I feel like someone's trying to ring the bell. I could be wrong about May ending up being a protagonist. Maybe she is. Forms a Force dyad with her twin sister. But I'm intrigued. I'll tell you, I know there's a lot of negativity. There's always a lot of negativity out there. But, if you're going to go through your life as a Star Wars fan, taking a big steaming dump on everything before it comes out, like, give it a shot. Come on. What do you got to lose? You're already subscribed to Disney Plus. We're going to be doing after shows. Those are sometimes more entertaining than the show themselves. So jump in the pool with us. We're in for the Acolyte. There might be a bonk on the nose here or there. There always is. But let's have fun. Let's have fun and talk Star Wars. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm not into hate watching the wars. I always root for Star Wars to succeed. But if it is a piece of junk like everyone says it's going to be, then we'll take a big steaming crap on it just like everyone else. But, up until that moment, I'm still pulling for it. And judging from what I've seen in this last run of promotional imagery that's been dropping via promos and trailers, I think there's something to look forward to with this show. So let's just wait and see. If they pull it off, we'll be dancing in the streets. That's right. If it's weak sauce, we'll be serving up full bowls of heaping weak sauce. So in our reviews. So,
Yes.
We're not going to pull any punches, but definitely trying to be positive and enthusiastic and look forward to it. And we'll hate watch it later if it sucks.
All right, well, if you need more Rebel Force Radio in your life, there's lots of ways you can do it. But the best way to do it, as we talked about earlier, is check us out over on Patreon. Those of you who are with us in Bristol, you saw a lot of the big Patreon VIPs on stage. And why do you know them? Well, you know them because they're doing shows like the Q&A with Jimmy Mack. So they've become sort of personalities here at RFR in their own right, and they're great people. Everyone is great that is supporting us on Patreon. It's a wonderful community. Bristol is just such a great example, I think, of that. People coming together in their love of Star Wars. You didn't get into some of the we got into some discussions. Definitely got into some fun discussions, but it didn't devolve into the petty BS that you see that passes off as fan discussion a lot online, especially. So check it out. Weekly full show video. That's right. The podcast you're listening to right now, you can be watching if you are an All Access or above member. Exclusive podcasts, audio podcasts with full show video, also available on those that you can't get anywhere else. Check it out, rebelforceradio.com. Click on the Patreon banner or just go over to patreon.com/rebelforceradio. You can also find clips of the show, the video on YouTube. And the YouTube channel is fantastic. It has all of our after shows going back to Mandalorian Season 1. There's episodes of the Clone Wars on there. There's the entire series of Rebels. So if you like the after show format, you'll love the stuff that's available over there on YouTube as well.
I just want to say, it is the only place to find all of our Clone Wars roundtable reviews.
Is it really?
Every one of them is on Patreon.
Wow. So if you're doing one of those rewatches, or maybe you're watching for the first time, courtesy of Disney Plus, you can check out Rebel Force Radio's thoughts as those episodes. Remember, those were in the moment. Those weren't recorded after we watched the whole series or the whole season. That was a snapshot of where our heads were as those episodes aired. It's an awesome time capsule. And we hear from listeners all the time that like to go back into the archives and hear us talking about these things as they unfolded in the moment. So that's all on YouTube. We're also, of course, on the social channels like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, official website, rebelforceradio.com. You can check it out. But the best way to support us here at Rebel Force Radio is cost nothing. Just do what you're doing right now. Listen to the show. Tell your friends about us. And tell them, especially with new series like The Acolyte, Bad Batch, and things, that you know the best Star Wars podcast out there. And if they want to be surrounded by good cheer and great Star Wars conversation, they should look no further than RFR. All right, that's going to do it. We won't see you next week. Jimmy Mack will see you next week, courtesy of the exclusive content on Patreon. I'll be in the big city, back going to the Northeast again. We'll be back the week after, and it won't be that long after that we'll be doing Acolyte. Probably have more news about Acolyte as we get closer, maybe some more Skeleton Crew news, who knows. There'll be more to talk about, that's for sure, next time on Rebel Force Radio. So until then, for RFR, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.
You can't have cookies without Star Wars, and you can't have Star Wars without cookies.